telling the story the other day to a friend of mine, and I said, you know what, my dad was always, I consider him one of the best hockey parents ever, because there was a situation when I was playing minor peewee hockey, and when he came, we got in the car, we had dropped a teammate off at his house, and my mom and him were in the front seat, and he kind of looked back at me and he said, why didn't you do this, or this? And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, because that's not what the coach wants us to do. The coach wants us to do this. So at that point, my mom looked at him and she kind of said, are you kidding me right now? And he didn't say a word. So she stopped talking. He stopped talking. I stopped talking. So we got about a kilometer down the road and he looked back at me and said, you know what? You're right. He said, I always want you to listen to what the coach says, because what the coach says, obviously he's got a game plan, and whatever he says is the right thing to do. And ever since that, I would ask my dad, this is Venedam Junior. He never missed a game. He lived in Sudbury. I played Junior B here. 69 was pretty much 2 lanes the whole way back then. It was 1993. He would come, he would watch. Our home games were Thursday night. He'd watch the game. He'd leave after, he'd wait for me after the game. He'd give me a few bucks. He'd get in his car. He had to be up the next morning at 5 o'clock to go to work at Inco. So he might get an hour of sleep when he gets home back to Sudbury, right? So, but I'd always ask him, hey, Dad, what do you think? How do you think I played? Really good. And that's all he'd say. He was supportive in every way, but he never criticized. He never said anything. And he'd always just, he was always positive and optimistic. And, he never talked about other parents. He never talked about other players, other kids. He said, as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, I'm happy. So I guess if that's one thing that you could say to parents, because I think a lot of parents get caught up in a vortex with, dealing with other parents on the team, and you're talking about somebody else's kid or other parents. And I own a sports store, so I hear it a lot, right? I see things like parents come in and they'll talk to me all the time, and I'll overhear them talking to people. And I'd say just be there for your kid, and I'd worry about your kid. And you talked about being a part of a team. Kids who play on really good teams, if your team is really good, chances are you're going to go a lot further in life than you will if you're playing for a shitty team or a dysfunctional team. Even I just go back to the junior level. Our coach used to say this all the time. The further we go, the better it is for you guys, because when it comes down to it, if there's only 2 teams left playing in early May, all those scouts are watching those 2 teams. Everyone else, there's nobody else to watch. So chances are you're going to get a second, third, fourth look. You get to the pro level. I played minor pro. I was fortunate enough to win 2 championships in minor pro. Well, those championships, I am certain to this day, afforded me my next 2 contracts, 100%. Because teams want players who are winners, who have been there, who have done it before. So I'd say, yeah, focus on yourself and take care of your own backyard first.